2024 had some incredible whiskeys drop this year, like the 13-year-old VVS from Old Fitzgerald, the Jack Daniels Coy Hill, and of course George T Stagg from Buffalo Trace. Now, which one actually ranks above the best? This is a big lineup, so we're going to try and determine which one we think is our favorite 2024 whiskey of the year. All right, everyone, you guys see the lineup we got. First up is going to be the Single Oak Project.
The numbers correlate to the different barrels. There were 192 different barrels. Each one of them was made in a very specific way. So each one is totally unique in its flavors from the other.
It's 90 proof. This is in the Weller lineup. And so you guys just drank yours.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try it.
For it being a 90 proof, I mean, it really, really jumps at you. I mean, even for that lower proof point, it's kind of crazy the amount of wheat and just bomb of notes that you get like straight up.
I think the nose is unreasonably powerful for a 90 proofer.
Yeah.
It was kind of, put my nose up to it and it kind of blew me away. But it wasn't offensive like some of the higher proofers can be. I really think they nailed the nose. A lot of sweetness, vanilla, cream, and some of the wheat kind of funk. I feel like the pour, though, wasn't as awesome as the nose.
I guess, because it's in the Weller lineup, it would be similar to the 107 red fruit that you get. It almost smells like mash, kind of the sweetness that you would smell at a distillery.
No, that actually kind of makes sense, yeah. Like, it smells like straight, not yeast. I wouldn't say even young.
Yeah, it's
either,
like a really ripe banana.
Because it doesn't smell like particularly young.
Really ripe.
It really does make you like feel like you're walking into a rick house or walking into like
It does.
the vat.
All right. We have moved to a new location. We are now trying the Baker's 13. Waited for, 10, 12 minutes, maybe a little bit longer.
Let it sit out.
The legs are pretty crazy.
So my wife and I found out we were pregnant in the summer, and pretty much since we were kind of letting people know, and as we were talking, it was like, man, it'd be really cool to have a Baker's 13 because we pretty much the whole time knew we were going to name our son Baker. So Baker, I ended up getting a Baker's 7 to wait to crack for when he was born. And so, but the whole time we're like, oh man, it'd be cool to find a Baker's 13, so it'd be a little more special, all that. Nate had a friend that was up in Illinois, sent a picture to Nate of some of the stuff they had, and they had a Baker's 13 for pretty much MSRP. So yeah. These guys went in and split it 4 ways, them two and a couple other guys, and got me the Baker's 13. And he was born earlier this month, and so we're doing the crack in his honor here. So
yeah, exactly.
In the drink. So
Baby Baker.
Cheers.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Ooh, man. Got goosies. Got goosebumps.
Yeah, I took it up a notch from the blends.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, legs are all lit up again.
That is absolutely the best beam I've ever had.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that it tastes just like Jim Beam, like the nuttiness, the brown sugar. I mean, it is just quintessential Beam. Again, my legs are literally lighting up right now because it's
and I think
good.
since it's a 13-year, I actually get more of the oak on the back.
Yeah, I did too.
Which is an interesting inflection because usually if something's older, you get much more of the oak up front because you get more of that barrel. This somehow feels like it brings it in the back.
It migrates to the back for sure.
Yeah.
You get a lot of oak on the nose, and it is funny. It rolls back for you.
Yeah, definitely that leathery tobacco. I get that on the mid palate a lot.
Yeah.
Like sweetness up front, leathery tobacco in the mid, a lot of oak on the back. I think this is one of my all-time favorite, proof down non-cask strength beers.
Yeah.
Flat out, this is really impressive.
Yeah.
We all loved Baker 7, but this really is Baker 7 to perfection.
Yeah. I agree.
Man.
This is definitely the best Beam I've had for sure.
Makes me upset that they don't release more and that you don't see more of it.
Amen, dude.
I feel like, I'm not sure if they release it no, they do release it in Tennessee, but maybe starting this year or something. because I didn't see any last year, and then I've seen like a few bottles
Really?
in stores here, but
Yeah.
none that I was able to get. Here it is,
The big one.
the big one, 2024 Old Fitzgerald VVS 13 year. Keep it in the 13 years from the Baker 13 to Old Fitz 13. If you don't know the story of this, Bernheim Distillery was bought by Heaven Hill, I believe, in 99, which is also when this was distilled. And so it sat until 2012 or 2013 when the master distiller tried it and thought this was absolutely perfect and wanted it to stop aging immediately. And so they pulled it and they actually saved it in metal vats until this year. They have released 3 VVSs in their history, as far as I know, 2018, 2020, and now. VVS stands for very, very special. So these are a little bit different than the standard, the standard Old Fitz releases. And, kind of worked my way up to getting this bottle. And the friend that, gave me this, he was like, really enjoy this pour. So cheers to you, my friend. And
Sir.
this is also celebrating my engagement. And so, yeah.
Amen.
So cheers to that as well. And cheers to Heaven Hill and Bernheim for the 25th anniversary. So
There we go. Also, insane legs.
Insane legs. Running a marathon in the glass. Literally just running away.
you okay?
Yeah. Damn.
Wow. There goes the goosebumps again.
That's what every Heaven Hill product probably should taste like. I mean, holy cow.
Wow, man.
That's like the best of an Elijah Craig and a Larceny just in the same thing.
That's a good, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. It's a lot of Larceny. Just the wheat.
It's sweet like a Larceny, but it's got the quintessential bourbon, Heaven Hill bourbon, like Elijah Craig notes.
Yeah, it does.
It's just got both. And at 100 proof too, that's what's insane as well. That it's got that much flavor at 100 proof.
Also kind of smell a lot of the red fruit from like a Russell's mash bill, but like
Wow, man.
Yeah.
better.
Wow. It tastes like it's been sitting in a cellar, like under the ground, like 20 stories down for like 10, 15 years.
Shout out Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or Rip,
Who
Maker's
actually
Mark.
who actually do that.
Like, I feel like I'm walking out of like a damp cave, like with this holy grail of a bottle. I don't know. Like, I feel transported to under the earth with like a headlamp on as I'm trying to search for like the specific bottle in a cellar. I don't know.
I'm getting it.
For me, that's just what it feels like. It's cool, man. That is such a bottle.
Well, I just made the remark that the Baker's 13 was my favorite all-time low proofer. But the run is ended.
Took a whole 7 minutes.
This may be like what we've all been looking for bourbon to be. Like, this is unbelievably impressive that this is 100 proof. Because I have never tried something that low proof with that much flavor and complexity to it.
Crazy.
That it feels almost like a fruit salad, in terms of like how many different kinds of fruit notes I'm getting on it.
It's so put together.
Yeah. I would say that it's not that it blows the bakers out of the water.
Right.
It just has some of the darker and deeper notes
Yeah.
of bourbon that it's almost, I said it jokingly earlier, but it is almost like a more sophisticated feeling pour. Like, and
it kind of feels like a really good filet mignon compared to like a Wagyu steak.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to enjoy both tremendously, but you're going to notice the difference. And it's not that like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Baker's to me is like quintessential perfect bourbon notes of nutty, brown sugar, beam, happiness. This is like a oaky, fruity departure.
Yeah.
Like they're both in their own leagues, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're both incredible. But this fits, like, I feel like I've not had anything like this before, ever. Personally.
Yeah.
I've not had anything with this kind of profile. It is just, I mean, it's very, very special for a reason.
Well, I mean, so I guess out of the three of us, I'm the only one that had Old Fitz before this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just a normal, I think it was more of a normal release.
Right.
But it was a 19-year aged.
Yeah.
And it was spectacular. Again, had it right after a 2017 GTS that was 138
Yeah, it was.
proof. And the Old Fitz being 100 proof stood up, absolutely to the, and honestly, I enjoyed that pour more than that GTS. The GTS was outstanding, and we're going to have GTS later, but the Old Fitz just was a better pour because at 100 proof, it's not hitting you as hard. It's not as heavy.
Yeah.
But it's still got all the flavor.
All of it. Like, I don't think there's a single thing I would change about this.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of crazy of all the pours that we've had today, of all of them being like either right around 100 or sub, with the like Oak Project, with the Blanton's Gold, with the Baker's 107, like the proof point, it just really shows that you don't need to have something that's like 120 to 130 proof for it to be impactful, like with the like flavors hitting you the way they are at this proof point. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think with all of us still being somewhat new, like he's been into it, what, 3 years?
3-4 years, yeah.
3-4 years. For me, 2, and then for you, 1. Like we're still diving into why, like, how do you make this?
Yeah.
And how does no one else make this? I think is what really interests me and what I'm excited to keep diving in and to share with you guys through different vlogs. You guys are really enjoying all the conversations that I have with people around whiskey, and so I want to keep finding interesting people to talk to about whiskey and bourbon and this hobby, because when you have bottles like this, it just really blows your mind that there are people making stuff this special. So I'm excited
To have like just a simple amount of only like 3 or 4 ingredients to go into it, like, and they're relatively similar across all of the lines. Like you have rye, you have corn, you have wheat, like all of them blending into just the different bottles, and the just variance of flavor that you can get with just those like 3 or 4 simple ingredients. Barley, like, it is just insane the difference in complexities and flavor profiles that you can get. I mean, it is just, it's nuts. I mean, that's a real reason why I chase this stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
It's the differences.
Well, and it's, I mean, and to add another layer, the location.
That's true.
Aged at. Like that's a big deal as well.
the location of where the tree's from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at
with
the
the
barrel.
oak, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. I was telling them, like, that nose, it smelled like the old rick house at Heaven Hill that was made entirely of oak rather than the new ones that are made of pine.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I wonder, if there's some impact there. And it's pretty insane. It's pretty cool. It's such a cool. You can dive as deep as you want to, but then you could also just enjoy some good bourbon.
Mm-hmm. All right. Old Fitz 24 VVS review done. Next up, Penelope 15-year American Light Whiskey. This is a very, very good bottle to me. He has had the 13 year. His older brother is a huge Penelope fan. Scotty has tried this 15 year. So I'm excited for David to try this 15 year and compare it to the 13.
We've had some incredible bottles so far. I don't know how it can go up from here.
Also, like, look at how light this is.
Yeah.
Here is GTS. Here is Penelope. Crazy how light it is. Pretty much aged the same amount. And yet, this is also cast strength. And yet it's that light.
Look at the legs on that thing, too.
Oh, yeah.
Running away. I can't put my finger on it yet, but man, just the opening, like... it just smells great.
Oh my gosh.
Just tastes like cheesecake.
It does taste like cheesecake. Do you like cheesecake?
I love cheesecake.
Okay.
I love this pour. I love it.
And it doesn't go for that much.
I
Secondary is like maybe 200.
I would pay $200 for this.
I would pay 300.
I'm looking at my shelf right now to see what I could trade for this because it is that good.
It's ridiculous. I'm really upset at how hard this is to find.
Oh, wow. This is like strawberry cheesecake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like red fruits on top of the cheesecake.
On the bottle they say creme brulee, which I do get,
I can understand that.
but I think cheesecake is like absolutely the no.
Also does not drink like it's almost 130 proof.
No.
It's 128.
Yeah.
That does not drink like that at all.
This is one of the coolest bottles.
It's cool. I mean, same thing with Rio. Like, it's niche, but niche in a way that, like, it's, to me, incredible.
Yep.
To you, incredible.
Yep.
Might not be for everybody, but at the same time...
If Rio was proofed higher, it would be, like perfect. I think the proof's slightly too low for Rio, but...
I could definitely see this not being everybody's cup of tea, for sure. Because it is different. It's not traditional bourbon notes.
No.
It's lighter. It's creamy.
Not quite.
Not at all.
It's
Missed the mark on the traditional.
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's what Penelope does, though. I think
Yeah.
Penelope does a lot of those things where they're using different cast finishes.
Yeah.
They're using different
They're having fun.
processes. Yeah, I mean, they're just having fun with it. And they also make just all of their bottles are really pretty bottles, too.
Well, now that they're bought by NGP, like, they've got all the whiskey in the world to finish and do whatever fun experiments with.
Yeah. We will not trash MGP on
No.
this channel.
No.
facts.
We're thankful for the amount of cool brands that it helps start.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand why people get tired of MGP, but I think it's really great for the whiskey community how many brands start because of MGP. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really given a lot of folks the ability to create their own whiskey moving forward.
Yeah.
It's cool. Then you have the other in-house brands like Penelope, like Remus. They put out some really good stuff.
How is this to you compared to the 13?
This is... I'm trying to remember what I had on the 13. I feel like this is deeper. Like, the 13 that I had was a couple years ago, which was the 15 without 2 extra years on it. And I guess the depth of this is a lot stronger. I think it was also a lighter proof.
It was still cast strength, but just lighter.
Exactly that. And I personally am in love with this.
Yeah.
I will dream about this. I'll probably dream about this day in general, but I will dream about this particular whiskey. I mean, it is, to me, very, very good. It is a straight departure from tradition, I guess you could say, but damn if it isn't good.
Yep.
It's really good. Cool.
All right. Penelope 15-year American Light Whiskey review. Done. Okay, so in our hands, we have the Elkwood in our right. Okay, we just went through a whole thing trying to remember which one we hold in our hands. But we have the Elkwood in our right hands, and we have the GTS in our left.
Cool story with this Elkwood. This is 15-year-old Buffalo Trace distillate that was actually shipped over to Wild Turkey and aged in their barrels on their property for 15 years.
Yep.
So it's a really, really cool story about it. I've never had it. I've really never heard of Elkwood before, but in our area, they did a couple of store picks. A lot of folks in the area got them. I think this is 122 proof.
What's weird is that they priced it as a Russell's 15.
They did, and they actually advertised it as a possible Russell's 15. The story on it's kind of murky. Like, some people say it's from just Wild Turkey. Some people say it's just from Buffalo Trace.
Right.
That's the thing. It's kind of like you don't really know what you're getting with it, but that's also kind of exciting in my opinion.
And Bruzel actually posted a community post, I believe, on YouTube, but maybe on all platforms, of just like, this is a very, very special bottle. He would highly recommend it. And so, yeah, pretty cool.
That is very cool. But whether it's Wild Turkey or whether it's Buffalo Trace, and both of our hands, we have GTS and Elkwood, and they both smell pretty damn similar.
Yeah.
But this is very expensive, and at the same time, this was the bottle that I wanted to open for my engagement. So, gentlemen,
I actually just tasted it, so sorry, but cheers.
Cheers. Man.
Okay.
There's a note on the front.
So, I'm pretty sure this is Elkwood, but this also tastes like it should be in the Stagg lineup.
I get like candied berries.
Yeah.
Straight up candied berries.
Carameled. Like,
Caramel berries.
Well, I feel like that's a similar. I guess you're adding sugar. Well, but you'd be adding sugar to both.
Right.
Maybe the same thing.
Caramel, I guess, could be like, just a richer version of a typical
I
sugar.
like the way that's lingering.
Wow, that's special.
Yeah, the finish is phenomenal.
That's special.
Oh man, my brain's trying to connect what that finish is.
Like a candy. There's a candy that I'm getting.
Like
nerds. Like
grape nerds on them.
Yeah, nerds. Wow.
But like, you know,
that might
what a pull.
That's the greatest pull of all time.
It smells. It tastes like nerds.
It does.
Like
I was literally like, that tastes like a candy that's like hard and fruity. That was weird. There you go.
Guys, you just witnessed it. The greatest pull of all time. Nerds Rope Grape.
The great nerd off of the rope. Yeah, because they don't make a singular grape rope.
Straight from the rope.
That's just the mixture of the rope with that singular grape
Not
nerd.
straight from the barrel, straight from the rope.
Straight from the rope.
That's the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Straight from the rope.
Straight from the rope.
Is this a grape nerd straight from the rope?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Good.
That is.
That is like way, 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 way better than I remember with the sample. I really think that like it just sucks that we have to try stuff at the stores in these little plastic, cups rather than having something to nose it with as well as sip it with.
It makes it tougher for sure,
significantly. I think that front note is grape. Like, that's what it is. It's like you said, great nerd. It's a great pull. But like, it's great. That's what I was getting like right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And it was, cause it was kind of like the Willets, where it has this like crescendo thing at the front of it.
Yeah.
It's just like, woo.
Cause like up front it's good, but it's not, it's like muted and then wham. Yeah. Like you really are like taking straight up like a rocket.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be Eagle Rare if it was proofed up and aged longer.
This has got it's got a different nose now that I've tasted that.
Heavier almost? Like a heavy?
Oh.
Yeah, more like the
Taste it.
deeper.
You instantly tell that's Stag. It's harsh.
Ooh.
Like,
That's thick.
similar to how...
That's Stag. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's just Stag. Like, it's like
Depth.
depth. Heavy.
You're drinking the barrel.
I'm gonna be honest though. I think that there is a gap. I think that Old Fitzgerald gaps that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like, again, that Old Fitzgerald. And I mean, maybe we'll talk kind of towards the end about like favorite pour, but
No, go ahead.
the Old Fitzgerald, it was so much easier than that. This is a lovely pour of bourbon, but that Old Fitzgerald was just, it didn't feel like, man, I'm drinking something significant and substantial. It was like that. It was just so easy.
Bliss.
Yeah, it was bliss. Yeah.
The way it's delivered at that 100 proof, like, this is fantastic. But you tell it's 100 and almost 30 proof.
Well, it's like, yeah, I know some of y'all are probably like would identify as proof hounds, but I think like what I've been going through lately is like I would typically like for something to be cask strength, because that means typically the flavor is going to be at like the maximum that it can be. But I think what that Old Fitz proved to us, and similar to honestly the Baker's 13, is like some of these distilleries can make something, proof it down, and it to be the same flavor bomb as we get with cask strength. And so for that Fitzgerald to be as calm as it is, to not have the same bite or the same like
Heaviness.
intensity, but to have the flavor bomb and like the consistency from the front of the palate all the way to the finish is like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, I want the caramel bomb, then that's GTS all the way.
Yeah.
Like, this really is like, yeah, it's Stag Junior to the max.
You know what this reminds me of? Scooby Stag, but more complex and heavy.
Yeah.
Like, this tastes like the Scooby Stag, except the Scooby Stag was
13.
It was 13-year Stag store pick, and it's very good, but it's not. It's all proof and no complexity. Where this has the proof and has the complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Scooby Stag was not a fresh crack.
Yeah.
It was getting close to half the bottle, and yet it was still almost like too proofy to where it was blinding you from a lot of the flavor.
This GTS is proofy, but at least it gives you the fullness of everything.
And you know what I bet it is? Is that this is batched. And
Makes
that's
sense.
a single barrel.
Makes
And so this was like whittled down to what they wanted to release.
I might be biased. I probably am biased. But damn, I really like that Oakwood.
Oakwood's good. Very good.
They're both
You know,
fantastic.
Elkwood is kind of like a blend between the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof and the GTS.
Ooh, that's a good point. Because you get the fruitiness of the E.H. Taylor.
Yeah. I think that Elkwood, though, it has that grape note that I don't think exists in the Buffalo Trace stuff.
The
great
rope.
The nerd rope. I don't think the nerd rope happens at Buffalo Trace.
But that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah, I guess. Well, Buffalo Trace in combination, supposedly, allegedly, with the wild turkey aging. Yeah. I think, I think I do like the GTS more, but I think it's because
I do think I like it a tad.
I just don't. I don't think that the grape-ish note is my thing. That's the only reason why.
All right, y'all. This is now just me and David. Scotty had to go home, take care of his kid. So we finished off the GTS and the Elkwood. All three of us, GTS just a little bit better. But honestly, way closer of a race than probably any of us thought.
Yeah, I mean, so both are good for their own reasons.
Yeah.
Elkwood was this absolute grapefruit bomb.
Yep.
But GTS, like in my personal opinion, the front note of Elkwood I personally liked more.
Yeah.
But the
I think I do
whole
too.
complete package of GTS from start to finish is an incredible bottle.
I think the finish of the GTS may be the best part.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the front and the mid are good. I think the Elkwood edges that out in my personal opinion. I think I could go either or, but the GTS is the whole package, and it makes a lot of sense why that's kind of the pinnacle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It's a damn good bore. It really is.
And it's so, well, I don't know. I was going to say it's so like Buffalo Trace, but it's obviously so one side of Buffalo Trace.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you've got what we're drinking now, which is the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof Batch 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's also just Buffalo Trace, red fruit, power punch of a note kind of thing. And I was telling him, like, that GTS was really good. Would I buy that every year? If I could get it easily. But would I chase it down? I'm not sure if I would, because we've had Stags that I'm like, that's pretty dang close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's weird that many years from an average of 9 with Stags to 15 minimum for GTS, it didn't feel that astronomical of a difference.
It really is funny how close it is. Like, I mean, obviously it's the same mash bill, and GTS is obviously older. And in complete transparency, this is the first George T that I've personally had. Very, very good. But I've probably had like 3 or 4 Stags, and it's surprising how close they are.
Yeah.
Stag is obviously very good. GTS is obviously very, very good. But a good Stag batch, it's close. It really is close.
I think, to me, this might be blasphemy to some people. I think that Penelope is way closer than anyone would probably like say out loud. That 15-year is just really cool. Like, it's just amazing to me to get that from not finishing the whiskey.
I think for different reasons. They're both very, very different in their approach, which I think makes it really cool to have both side by side. But yeah, the complexity in that bottle is really special in my opinion. Oh. It's cool.
Our last bottle of the night is going to be the 24 Coy Hill. I cracked it a while ago, went to the drop at Jack Daniels, had a great night, meeting a bunch of cool people. He's only had the fresh crack. He's not had it since it's calmed down. A lot of the smokiness has kind of gone away. A lot of the Lincoln County stuff. So now it's just prime Jack Daniels, and I'm really excited for him to try it. This is a bottle that should also maybe prove the proof hounds wrong. Have we had any of the other years of Coy Hill? No, we have not. Are we a little tipsy? Yes, we are. Is this my second favorite pour of all time? Yes, it is. Why? Because this to me tastes like Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I love Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. This to me is like, this is like the perfection of Tennessee whiskey.
I don't really think it goes better than this, truly. I mean, it is just, it's good. I can even pick anything out from it because it is just good. Man.
Yeah. I can't taste anything different than a peanut butter cup. Shout out to our sponsors, Reese's. They're not our sponsors, but that's what's in this glass. Liquefied and alcoholed.
I get a lot of smoke and banana.
A lot of smoke.
A lot of smoke, a lot of banana. As this is opened up, it's not as like tobacco-y, leathery, smoky as it was when we first opened it.
It was hard to sip through it. We had to let it sit for the smokiness to kind of go away for a little bit.
As this has opened up, wow. As this has opened up, I mean, it has really... It tastes like Jack Daniels in a way that is the pinnacle of what they can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It is truly...
Which is also interesting because it's 11 years. What if it was 15?
Do they even put anything out that's that old? I mean, I know they have Jack 12, obviously.
Yeah, not that I know of.
But I don't think that they put anything out older than that. This is just quintessential Jack Daniels in a way that it really shines as what the best that they can do. And it is incredible. I mean, it is truly a great, great pour. I don't know, Nate. That's up there, dude.
I know.
That's good.
And this is something that we probably also want to talk about is it's okay if you're just a Buffalo Trace fan till you die, whatever. It's okay if you just hold on to one distillery all the way. But I think all of us, including Scotty, who's not here, would say, like, just give these other brands a shot. Like, I met a fan at the Coy Hill drop that he was a big Buffalo Trace guy, but he was like, I'm not a big Elijah Craig fan. And I'm like, okay, what have you had? And he's like, well, I've just had this small batch. Okay, so you've not had any of their premium stuff. Are you a fan of Four Roses? No. What have you had? Oh, I've just had their small batch. Okay, well, you have to have their premium stuff. It's similar to if someone said, I don't like Buffalo Trace, but I've only had Buffalo Trace small batch. Mm-hmm. Okay, well then you're probably not a Buffalo Trace fan because like it's low shelf for a reason. It's not the best that they can do. And so with Jack Daniels, like, yeah, it's not bourbon. It pretty much is. But like, guys, if you can try this stuff, even the Jack Daniels single barrel proofs or the barrel proof ryes, I would so highly encourage it because Tennessee whiskey really can be unbelievable. There's a reason why Uncle Nearest did this filtration system with the Lincoln County stuff. Because it's truly amazing. It's so rich and deep. It really is a Tennessee version of GTS in how depth and dark these notes are on it. And you get, if you're a Jim Beam fan, you're going to love Jack Daniels. You're going to love Coy Hill because it's so much of the nutty flavor as well as all the sweetness that comes with the a lot of the charcoal, the maple charcoal that you're filtering it through. And so just try these other brands, try their premium stuff, whether it's through your bourbon clubs on Facebook or whether it's through just friends. Just make sure to try this stuff because you got to give it a shot. Bourbon's way more than just Buffalo Trace. It's way more than just Heaven Hill. Just expand your understanding of what's out there, and I think you'll be very surprised.
And what's really cool about Jack Daniels in general, too, is the stuff that they put out isn't incredibly expensive. Obviously, we can talk secondary, and that's a different story. But when you're looking at, Jack Daniels single barrel coming out at $60 to $65, Jack Daniels single barrel rye, obviously both barrel proof, coming out at $65 to $75. man, like what a value that bottle is.
And
what
the
a
quantity.
value. Yeah, I mean,
Because it's not hard to find.
it's really not.
If it's
And-
hard to find for you, it's probably your state. It's not
Yeah.
the quantity of product they put out.
and we're pretty blessed being in Tennessee, obviously. But at the same time, like, man, are you going to find a Weller Full Proof for $65, $75 when you walk in the store and just, like, it's sitting there on the shelf? Are you going to find, E.H. Taylor single barrel sitting on the shelf for $65, $75? I mean, you're just not. The value that you get at this and the availability is...
Maybe not the koi.
so hard to beat. Obviously, yeah, not the koi.
But we're talking about the barrel proofs.
Very true. But when you get into the limited editions, even still, like limited edition George T Stagg comes out once a year.
Yep.
Like you're spending $125 on it already. I mean, retail if you can find it without sitting in front of a store for 8 to 10 hours, which we've both done. Yeah. You can't find that value, I don't think, in really any other distillery, truly.
Yeah.
I mean, the value for what you get per pour, man, is it hard to beat. It really is.
This was $85 MSRP.
Yeah, and it's probably a top, I mean, for me, it's at the least a top 10 pour, if not top 7,
Yeah.
if not top 5. I mean, for
This
you,
is
it's number two, like,
Number 2.
damn if it isn't good. I mean,
I think, yeah, and
Man.
it's cool how drastically different this is from the Old Fitz, from the GTS, from the E.H. Taylor, from the Penelope, from the Elkwood. Like, this bottle is very different from your typical bourbon. It may be semi-similar to your Elijah Craig in the sweetness as well as the nutty flavors, but it's different. It's special. What I enjoy about this year's, even though I haven't had the other years, is the proof is low enough to where it's just calm. Like it drinks like it's 110. It doesn't drink like it's over 120. It doesn't drink super high. Would you agree with that?
yeah, I wouldn't say it drinks as, like, George T Stagg was a great pour, but you can really tell it's like almost 130 proof. This is a lot of flavor that comes out, and the more we try this, like the more we have the VVS Old Fitzgerald, the more we have the Baker's 13. Like, man, if it really doesn't show that you don't need proof to have a good bourbon,
Yeah.
you really don't need proof to have something that is full-bodied, that really comes across with a lot of flavor. I mean, it's nuts what's out there when you go outside of the Buffalo Trace realm or you go outside of the proof realm. Like, man, there's just some good stuff.
Yeah.
And from a lot of different distilleries. There's just a whole world of it.
So
Gotta go find it.
let's close this thing out. What's your favorite? What's your 1, 2, 3 from the night?
VVS, Old Fitzgerald,
Yep.
number 1 for me, for sure. Number 2, Barrel Proof Taylor, I think. I really think Barrel Proof Taylor is probably my number 2. And number 3, I know I shouldn't say it's a tie, but tie between Elkwood, GTS, and American Light Whiskey.
Yep. I thought you were going to say Penelope because my number 1 is the Old Fitz, my number 2 is the Coy Hill, and my number 3 is the Penelope.
Penelope's.
I honestly think I enjoy it more than GTS.
What a bottle, man. What a bottle that thing is.
I think, maybe it's not just taste. Maybe it's also just like amazement that you can bottle cheesecake in alcohol. Like, that you can barrel it for 15 years, you can set it at cask strength, and it looks as light as that.
If you can find the 13-year or if you can find the 15-year, you already know. I mean, you already know what a bottle this is. The proof point doesn't taste like where it's at on the bottle itself. The color doesn't make sense. The flavor profile doesn't make sense. But man, isn't it just...
We're decent fans, you know, like the bottom shelf stuff is good. It's not great, but it's good. Prices aren't terrible. But we both really enjoy Rio. And then this bottle is like, oh, so this is what Penelope can do. Okay. Now they're a serious contender.
Yeah. They've really broken out. They've really, really broken out. I mean, I know my brother's a big Penelope fan. He didn't love when MGP, specifically bought out Penelope, the whole brand. He thought they sold out in what they were trying to do. But with MGP buying Penelope, they now have the ability to just have the whole archive of what's available to them. And they can just make out some crazy, crazy bottles. And this 15-year, I mean, it's just stellar. I mean, it's...
Chef's kiss.
It is good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let us know what your favorite 2024 release is, or just favorite pour in general, down in the comments.